heavy burden that people feel when they fail to do what they believe they were intended to do. Or if they have a heavy burden of sin. They feel like they have violated the moral code of their faith, and therefore they're living with this unresolved sin in their life. Anecdotally, I saw this diagnosis a lot when I was doing hospice chaplaincy. I'm not sure if I told you I did that. So for about 5.5 years, I was the chaplain for Baptist Health Hospice. And it was very common for me to encounter men in their 70s who were given a terminal diagnosis. When I would go and visit with them for the first time and do my spiritual assessment with them, very common for them to say something like, you know, when I was a young man, I knew God called me to preach, but I never did anything about it. I got married, we had kids, I had to work, I just didn't have time. And so that just kind of went by the wayside. And I've spent my whole life ignoring the fact that God had called me to do something and I never did it. I heard that many, many times where there was guilt associated with, I've lived my whole life, I've been burdened because I didn't do what I knew God called me to do. Number 5 is spiritual anger. This is just what it sounds like. The frustration or anger or outrage that we have when God doesn't act the way we want Him to act. If He fails to do something we think He should have done, or if He allows something to happen that we didn't like. And this will be a real easy one to detect, because what you hear your patient say is, why did God let my baby die? Why did God let him be in an accident? Why didn't he have on his helmet riding that motorcycle? The tragic accidents that occur that we will see on a regular basis in healthcare, there aren't answers to those questions, and many times people respond in anger. And so they will have spiritual anger because something tragic happened that they can't make sense out of. Yes, sir, ma'am. Excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
So whenever they do have that spiritual anger and they're saying those things, like what do you say back to them?
And that's a really good question, because answering the question is not going to satisfy them. And the best way you can do, the best thing you can do is to try to provide as much comfort. And saying things like, I understand, you have every right to feel the way you feel, validating their feelings. Or saying something like, it doesn't seem fair, does it? This is not right. Because they're just wrestling with the, why did this happen? This doesn't make any sense. I can't make sense out of this. My whole world is falling apart. And trying to say, it's okay, it's all right, that doesn't satisfy. That doesn't solve it. So you just need to try to provide comfort and say things to affirm their feelings and to recognize, yes, you have a right to be angry right now. And they're not going to be mad at God forever. If if faith is an important part of their lives, they're not going to be mad forever. But they're going to need to get that anger out. And many times they target it towards God because they don't know where else to target it. Good question. Okay, number, where am I? 6, spiritual loss. The feeling that God's love has ended. If spiritual pain goes unchecked, it can lead to spiritual alienation. If spiritual alienation goes unchecked, it can lead to spiritual loss. The feeling that God's love has ended. That you're just, as they say, too far gone. God couldn't love me anymore after all the things I've done in my life. A pretty typical response that people will have when they're evaluating their life's activity, their life's purpose. And then lastly is spiritual despair. This, and you might want to start it, is the least common. Of these 7 diagnoses, this is the least common because this is the place people get when they feel like there's absolutely no hope. Their whole world has crashed in around them and they don't have a way to cope. And that's a very rare case. Usually, psychiatric patients who don't have a good grasp on reality will suffer this, but this is not a common diagnosis for our average patient. Okay, any questions about today's lecture? Any questions about your assignment for next week? All right, well, go and be dismissed and have a great day. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Well, I have been wearing it because I just feel like I'm moving back. Like I live back. Maybe I didn't. However, I did tell you that I heard it. I did. I'll be done Where do we put our name on this? I think we have to I didn't either, but just because we haven't done the lectures. I tried to ask her to get my she's like, okay, what did she say? As soon as I get done, we'll definitely know where you're at. I'm just trying to see if you look at it. Yeah, I know. They have a team of people. And we went to tackle those No, we got it. We got it. Okay.
you got the whole load. You must have one of those yes faces.
It's not the same.
But we have,
She might be